So Money in the Bank 2025 is in the books. The full podcast length review is, I don't know why I did this. The full podcast length review is over at the Steven Larson channel, youtube.com/Steven Larson. And also our Friendo Club star ratings are also available right now over at youtube.com/Friendo Club or Friendo Club TV, one of those. Anyways, this is Wrestle Juice. It's time to listen to your reactions, hot takes, cold takes to Money in the Bank 2025. This is honestly one of those shows that just there's a lot going on these days. Was the return of Ron Killings a work? Was it a real situation where they had to backtrack because of the fans? We're going to get into all that. First up, let's see what you guys had to say, because man, oh man, I don't think anybody expected or predicted the return of R-Truth. First up, Disco Ball 2010 says most predictable return ever. Really? I did not see this coming. I think a lot of people did not see this coming, but I love that. This is a searing hot take, man, because if you can prove, who is this Disco Ball? Disco Ball, if you can prove that there's somewhere that you have documented that R-Truth was going to come back for this main event, then please let us know in the comments. Please. And I'm not being disrespectful or anything. It's just wild that anybody saw this coming. I thought legitimately this dude was done with. I thought there was a possibility, the small possibility WWE would bring him back. But I didn't think it would happen. I thought that the odds were really, really low, because I felt like the fan reaction in the immediate aftermath was immense. But if they would have waited a month, I don't really think it would have persisted, because I think there are plenty of people who were like, it's not like he was a majorly featured player. He was on television a lot. He joined. He was just sort of a minor comedic guy, and now apparently under the name Ron Killings, which is what they're going with, seemingly. Maybe they'll have something juicier for the guy to work with. So I don't know. I have no idea what the situation was. Let's see what else you guys have to say. Tilo Brown says, well, we all got worked like a rusty gate. And then Chew World Order says, bringing Ron back sets a bad precedent for the company. Now when a fan favorite's contract isn't renewed, people will either think it's a work or try to hijack shows to bring them back. I don't know about that. I think this is going to be viewed as a unique situation. So I'm not necessarily certain that everybody's going to get their hopes up that WWE is going to pull an R-Truth whenever somebody's contract. This is the thing about the R-Truth contract, is that it was bizarre to me that they would take the most beloved guy on the roster who had just main evented a Saturday Night's main event and let his contract expire because they were paying him too much money. I understand TKO is all about making money, but they're doing that hand over fist. I understand they're all about penny pinching. I get that as well. They're trying to increase the value of their stock or whatever the situation is. The thing that's wild to me is the idea that this is why, I really hope the entire thing was a work. I don't think it was, because there's too much out there right now on Sunday afternoon to suggest that this was, they were going to let his contract expire because they couldn't get together on a good figure. And then he was ignoring phone calls, and then Nick Khan was able to negotiate a deal kind of in between where the two sides were. That's what the reporting is right now. I don't know what's true or what's not, man. What's wild to me is the idea that this all happened because of the fan backlash. Because if the people in charge, whether it's Nick Khan, Triple H, somebody else at TK, whoever made this decision, if Triple H didn't realize that this was going to be the reaction, that if they didn't know that he was one of the most beloved members of the roster, maybe the most beloved member of the roster, and that fans wouldn't react this way, then they are so mind-bogglingly stupid that everybody watching this right now, never think to yourself that you're not good enough to do anything. Never think that you're not smart enough to do anything. Never think that the people that are successful are so smart, and that's the reason they got there. Because if it's true that they didn't realize this would be the fan reaction, that bodes well for the rest of us. Because the stupidest people on planet Earth can achieve the highest, the highest successes. So it's not too late for you out there. Evidently, you could be a complete dullard and run WWE. That's the only thing I take away from this, is that if they actually didn't know, because who wouldn't, if you offered it up to me before the release or before the contract expiration situation went down, hey, WWE is not going to extend the contract of R-Truth. What do you think the reaction is going to be? Pretty harsh. Fans love R-Truth. He's the most beloved guy on the roster. Of course, fans are not going to like that. They will chant R-Truth. That's what I would have fucking said. That's what anybody with, and I'm not even that smart. That's what anybody with half a brain would have said. Half a brain. A quarter of a brain. That's what anybody would have known factually, objectively. This will not go over well across the board. So if they didn't realize that, they are fucking morons, people. That's why I hope to God this whole thing wasn't an elaborate work. That maybe, just maybe, Triple H, Nick Khan brought Ron Killings into the office. Hey, listen, we're going to do this thing. We're going to work the marks. We're going to work all the fans out there. We're going to say that we're not going to expire your contract. But we really are. I'm sorry, we're not going to extend your contract, but we're going to let it expire. Because there's going to be, we're going to make it seem like you're gone, and then you're going to come back to do something really cool under your real name, Ron Killings. Because that's a fucking cool idea. And I like to think that the people up there running this shit are smart.
Enjoying the show?
Whole part of the show, man.
Lord Scruff says this Becky Lyra feud is low-key one of the best feuds of the year so far in WWE. It's helped Lyra find her intensity and confidence on the mic, and Becky's doing the best heel work of her career. I agree 1,000%. I think so far this is probably feud of the year. It's simple. It's effective. It's helping both people. It's like, I hope that there's some additional twists and turns along the way. Maybe Bayley will get involved. I don't know. Maybe they'll do an I Quit match, a last woman standing match, something like that. But maybe even Hell in a Cell. But I think this has helped both people. And it's just one of those, at least in WWE, this is one of the best feuds of the year. And you love to see it. They have tremendous chemistry in the ring. I think the match was really, really great. And I look forward to more. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty cold take right here. Their feud has been incredibly enjoyable. OJ the Black says Naomi was the only right choice in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I think she was definitely the best choice, but I think there were multiple good choices. I think that they could have gone a number of ways, and the crowd would have been happy, the fans at home would have been happy, and people would have been. Everybody in this match is wildly popular. They actually booked a match where everybody had a really good case to be made to win the briefcase. You could see Rhea winning. I think Rhea is probably the most boring pick, but outside of that, I think a lot of people were hoping Roxanne would win. A lot of people were hoping Julia would win. A lot of people love Stephanie Vaquer. And Alexa Bliss, I thought, had a good, case to be made. She's a former Money in the Bank winner. I understand, and I appreciate the sentiment that Money in the Bank should be for, it's hard to say somebody who's new and up and coming because Naomi's not that, but at least somebody who is fresh. And Naomi has a fresh heel turn, a fresh character revamp. And I think that she's doing tremendous work with that. And I think they're giving her good creative as well. When she was in the ring with Bianca and said, your parents weren't home, so I walked in your house anyways. It's like, what the fuck? Whoa, hold on. That's a whole new level of crazy right there. You don't do that. So that's good stuff to work with. And so I think Naomi's hot now as the heel. There's a lot for her to work with Jade on the rise, and Bianca coming back shortly from the finger stuff. And you can have a big 3 match. You can have her cash in on Tiffany. You can have whatever the situation is going to be. You got the Queen of the Ring stuff coming up soon. So I think Naomi was the best choice. I agree with this 1,000%. I think she was the right choice. and it makes all the sense in the world. But I think in this case, there are a lot of good choices out there. Check No Eternity says, sometimes the most predictable choice isn't the best choice. Looking at you, Seth Rollins. This was this one, it's funny because it's not weird to me. It is incredibly obvious. My bigger issue with the Seth Rollins thing, this is my main issue with the Seth Rollins thing, and I said this on the podcast, and I'm going to stick with it. Sami Zayn comes out to tell CM Punk the fate of existence rests on Seth Rollins not getting Money in the Bank. You can't lose this main event. You need to win and prevent Seth Rollins from winning Money in the Bank. Otherwise, the timeline will become unstable and it'll break apart and reality will tear apart at the seams. Sami Zayn up and down was like, he can't win Money in the Bank. So where the fuck was Sami last night? Or Punk, for that matter. They had the night off, so they were like, well, it's not my problem now. I got this time off. I'm going to spend it with my family, and I'll worry about work when I get to work on Monday. Like, it was just kind of too easy for Seth. It was just kind of too easy. And so you got Sami Zayn nowhere to be found, CM Punk nowhere to be found, and Seth just strolls up there. So Sami... What, is because Punk couldn't get in the match? You're not going to, it's a no DQ match. You can do whatever you want. We saw Jacob Fatu literally take out Solo Sikoa, which is awesome. Best part of the match. So where the hell was Sami? Like, there's just story elements to Seth winning that I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's obvious. I think it's kind of obvious that he's probably going to cash in on June 9th. And maybe at that point, Sami and Punk will try to prevent the cash in, which is like, you guys could have like avoided this entire situation by just getting involved at Money in the Bank. Just take out Seth at Money in the Bank. But yeah, that was weak. I thought that was really weak. Canaldo Bruno says Mr. Iguana needs to main event WrestleMania. This is one of those that we probably should have seen coming. They featured Mr. Iguana, of course, on Worlds Collide in a match, in a 6-man match, I think it was. And the crowd loved him. And then you see him in the crowd, and the crowd loves him there. Yeah, Mr. Iguana is great. He's awesome. You gotta see that guy on WWE main roster, man. Kyle says Solo was a highlight of the ladder match, not only for Jacob Turn, but the comedic bit stuff he was doing was entertaining. Yeah, I agree with that. Solo is one of my favorite characters right now. I think the comedic stuff that he's doing right now, I just hope they're able to pair that with him being like an actual threat of a wrestler and not just a buffoon. But I think that the personality he's showing, I wish they would have done this from the beginning. When he was the enforcer to the bloodline. I think if you slowly would have brought him along so that by the last couple months of the OG bloodline story, Solo was this character, I think it would have been outstanding. I think it would have been amazing. James Hillary says Chad Gable deserves to be a world champion before he retires. I think that moment would be great. I think, man, for a guy to pull double duty, obviously at Worlds Collide and then as El Grande Americano in the Money in the Bank match, is a testament to how good he is. He put on a phenomenal match with Vikingo, El Hijo del Vikingo, at Worlds Collide. He's a tremendous talent. Whether or not you feel, oh, this guy needs to have the world championship to validate his career or whatever, I don't know. But certainly he's going to get to the point where I think Chad is that next guy who the crowd is going to, between him and LA Knight, the crowd is going to bring him to that spot. Because he clearly is earning it the hard way right now. He's tremendous, an awesome character. I think the El Grande stuff is kind of beneath him, and I hope they ditch it sooner than later. But if they have a really great angle with El Grande Americano, where they're able to sort of transition him back to just being Chad Gable and then kick him to the moon, I think that'd be tremendous. Dr. Howie says Triple A proved Corey Graves deserves to be on pay-per-views. Yeah, man. I think Corey Graves is really good. Conan was a little bit on the sleepy side. He offered up a lot of knowledge, but Conan seemed really sleepy. I don't know if it's just because he's old or he didn't want to be there. He's hungover. I don't know what the deal was. He was really sleepy. Johnny P says the Fireball ad and the ring ads aren't really that big of a deal. It was nice to see a ladder that wasn't just straight silver like it has been for the last 20 years. Johnny's like me, in which I just like all sorts of shit going on my screen. I mean, you guys can take a look at this. I've got like load up color bars on here just for some shit to have on the screen that you're watching right now. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Honestly, like when I watch wrestling, the aesthetics of it tend to just fade into background for me. I care about the stories and the performances. That's what I care about. And the rest is just set dressing. I legitimately don't care. Like, doesn't make me want a Slim Jim to see a table. Not really. I'm more of a Jack's Links guy. Isn't that? That's the name of the jerky company, right? Yeah, I like that. Slim Jim. I'm not really a Slim Jim guy. That being said, if Slim Jim wants to pay me to put up a Slim Jim ad right there, I'll fucking do it. Not right there, because that's my dog. That's my gypsy bug. Get up on the mic says John Cena appears to be in constant pain and he can barely move around the ring. That's ruining his retirement run more than any other factor. Yeah, the first half of the main event was slow as fuck. And I don't know. At this point, you just got to figure, well, he's like super old and he's done a lot in his career. So yeah, maybe he's not going to be the quickest, sharpest, snappiest guy in the ring. It just is what it is. Not 2016 anymore, man. 2016, that guy was putting on some banger matches, and it's not that anymore. But I wonder how much of it is he feels like as that version of a heel, he just needs to slow things down from a character standpoint. Or maybe he's just beat up. I don't know. Myron says tonight showed that WWE will never look at LA Knight as world champion material. And WrestleTrain says the way Triple H treats LA Knight needs to be studied. Just because Knight ain't a Triple H guy, they've done everything to cool him down, yet he's still over. Triple H has a vendetta for LA Knight. So I don't know about him having a vendetta. I think to a degree, Triple H likes... I think LA Knight is kind of a Triple H guy, because otherwise Triple H wouldn't have been so adamant. The first thing he did when Vince left was rebrand Max Dupree LA Knight. He brought LA Knight into NXT. He saw what he has, and he's still a major featured part of SmackDown. But people want this guy to be world champion, and I get it. He still gets huge reactions. In my opinion, he's still a bit of a one-dimensional character, but that hasn't stopped a million other people from being recognized as world championship material, and I think the fans don't give a shit about that. I wonder if it is a matter of LA Knight being a bit one-dimensional in terms of how Triple H views his storytelling potential as a world champion. I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying I wonder if that's the reason why. Similar to like, okay, well, he didn't re-sign Bobby Lashley to a contract, even though Bobby was getting tremendous responses from the crowd because he didn't fit into what Triple H can do as a creative mind. I think it's a bad decision, and I think he should be able to figure out stuff for people who are getting tremendous responses. But in the case of LA Knight, I guess he simply didn't see the vision for him being money. It's been 3 years that he's been in Money in the Bank, and the crowd wants him to fucking win. The majority of, or a lot of the comments, I should say, in this thread were LA Knight should be, like LA Knight should have won this thing. Seth was a really easy, obvious choice, way too obvious, and it didn't make sense from a story standpoint in terms of him burning so many bridges and nobody doing anything about it, really. So, yeah, I don't know. I think LA Knight, they got to run with him in some way, shape, or form. He's past the U.S. title now. He's beyond that. The only other thing there is the World Championship. Will they put that undisputed title on him? I don't think it'd be a terrible idea for that to be the case. I think people would cheer wildly for that shit. But will they do it? Remains to be seen. I don't know. 32 Zlaw says reports of Triple H not liking the Money in the Bank concept are looking more likely when the actual stipulation hasn't main evented for 3 years in a row. Okay, so not to defend the guy, but I do think that to a degree, I mean, because like last year, Drew cashed in on the same night. He won it early in the night, cashed in the world title match and did the fail. And I feel like having Money in the Bank be in the first batch of matches for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view makes more sense, because then there's always the possibility. Like I'm sitting there after the show goes off the air and they have Cody do the promo, and then I think Jay did a small promo, and I'm thinking, ooh, are they going to do like Seth teasing a cash-in right now? They can do that if they have the Money in the Bank matches early in the show and the title matches later in the show. That's kind of a tradition right there. I'm cool with that. Sizzlin' Papaya says the drone shots are amazing. All right, this is a hot take. The drone shots are terrible. It looks like dog shit. That being said, the Logan Paul Cody Rhodes bit with the drone, I thought that was awesome. I thought it was incredibly creative. Him not being able to let go of the drone because he's obsessed with the camera is perfectly fitting with Logan Paul's character, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense from like a physical trying to defend yourself standpoint. That bit where Cody showed up in the shot and then did the superplex, I thought was really, really cool, and Logan couldn't let go of the camera. I thought that was pretty creative. I like that. That's sort of as far as you can go with the drones because they look like dog shit. Jaylee Sibley says, where's Bayley? According to her Instagram, she's out there having a lot of fun in the sun. I don't know where she is. I don't know. I assume she'll be back at some point. The Bayley Lyra stuff makes sense for Bayley to, the Lyra Becky stuff makes sense for Bayley to show up at some point, you would think, because Becky's the one who took her out. Maybe they'll have her return on the rubber match when Lyra gets that IC title back. Maybe it's like a last man standing match or something like that. I don't know. In any event, I expect her to come back at some point in the near future when Lyra and Becky go back at it. Heel Harrison says, of all the sponsors, they chose 7-Eleven. What do you got against 7-Eleven? Ryan says WWE has ruined Stephanie Vacquer's Devil's Kiss move due to commentary. All right, so, let's be honest with this one. It's a really cheesy, ridiculous move that is wildly popular, but it's so over-the-top silly. It kind of demands an over-the-top silly approach to commentary. So I'm going to let this one go. I think I'm fine with it. I don't think the move has been ruined. It's silliness. It's pro wrestling. People love it for good reason. And so I think commentary captures that absurdist energy that the move has. We'll end on this one. Whittle says, Steve looks more like a clean-cut Raven than he does John Cena. All right, true story. We were at the local fair carnival thing the other day, and I was just sitting there enjoying a jumbo corn dog, rather. And a young fellow walks up to me. I noticed he kept on staring at me, and he comes up to me, and he says, you look like John Cena. And then without missing a beat, I just did this. And then he just sort of did this and walked away. So I think out in the wild, people still think I kind of look like Cena, especially when I put on the ball cap and, whatever. But for reference here, I got a shot of Johnny Polo, who of course is clean cut Raven. So I thought I'd put him up here, everybody. I don't know. I have a hard time being objective here, but what is that face he's doing? Does that look? Do I look like this guy? He's a handsome looking dude. I thought Raven was a handsome guy. So I don't know. I'll take that one as a compliment, everybody. That's gonna do it for this edition of what is this? Money in the Bank, Hot, Cold, and Reaction Takes or whatever. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.